That year, everything collapsed. Our parents died in a tragic accident. Their company went bankrupt, and in the middle of the storm, I turned my back on my only brother. He begged me to stay. But I was angry, selfish, and scared. I told him I would rather chase money than live poor by his side. And with that, I left, pulling my suitcase, cutting him out of my life. A year later, his company rose from the ashes. He stood on stage as the new CEO, respected, admired, untouchable. When reporters asked him, "Who do you thank the most in your journey?" he smirked, cold and bitter. "My sister? She left me for money. I don't even see her as family anymore." That one sentence froze the world. It was like a blade cutting straight through my heart. From that day, everyone wanted to know where I had gone. The truth is, I didn't leave because I hated him. I left because I thought I was a burden. After our parents died, debt collectors came knocking. They took everything of value. My brother was just a young man himself, but he carried the entire weight of the family on his shoulders. I saw him begging for loans, working day and night, drinking until he collapsed, then dragging himself back to work the next morning. He told me not to worry, that he would take care of me no matter what. But I saw the truth. His hands shook from exhaustion. His body was breaking down. His pride was crushed, and I felt like the reason behind all his pain. So when he tried to stop me from leaving, I put on a cold face. I asked him, "Can you still buy me the things I want? Can you feed me the life I used to have?" My words were cruel, sharp enough to cut. He begged me to stay, promising that one day he would earn enough to make me live like a princess again. But I slapped his hand away. I told him not to follow me, not to cling to me, not to hold me back from finding my own future. I declared that I was cutting ties, that I no longer had a brother. I saw him freeze in shock, unable to speak, just standing there as I pulled my suitcase out the door. My heart broke the moment I turned away, but I forced myself not to look back. The last image I have of that day is him kneeling on the floor, begging me not to go. Time passed, and the world saw my brother rise. The company that once stood on the edge of ruin climbed back up, stronger than ever. He became the man everyone looked up to. People called him a genius, a legend, the kind of leader others could only dream of becoming. But behind the suits, the flashing cameras, and the applause, there was something else in his eyes, a coldness, a wall built so high no one could climb over it. Whenever someone mentioned family, he brushed it aside with a laugh that sounded more like bitterness than joy. Reporters kept asking about me, the sister who had vanished. He never softened. "She left me when I needed her most. Don't ask about her again," he would say, his tone like ice. The world painted me as the villain, the greedy sister who abandoned her brother, the one who chose money over blood. And maybe they were right. Maybe that's all I deserved to be in their eyes. What they didn't know was that while my brother stood in the spotlight, I was fighting in the shadows, fighting something far darker than poverty, fighting a battle with my own body. Years later, the world thought I had vanished for good. But one day, a reporter uncovered something unexpected in my diary, a small, worn-out notebook filled with messy handwriting, pages stained with tears, and sometimes even blood. When the diary was placed in front of my brother, his hands trembled. For a brief moment, A flicker of fear and hope flashed across his eyes, but in the very next second, he pushed it away, throwing it into the trash like it meant nothing. "Another trick," he muttered coldly. "A stunt for attention, yet the truth could not be hidden forever. That diary carried my voice, my confessions, my pain, and for the first time, the world would hear it. Inside the diary, I wrote the things I never dared to say out loud. I wrote about being 17 and being told I had cancer. I wrote about the nights I cried myself to sleep, clutching old gifts from my family because they were the only warmth I had left. I wrote about skipping meals so my brother wouldn't have to pay for me anymore. About pretending to be heartless so he could focus on his own survival, and about how every cruel word I said to him that night haunted me until the day I died. There were moments of small joys too, a kind stranger sharing food, a teacher calling, still caring about me, but each time the shadow of my sickness dragged me back into despair. The pain was constant, unbearable, yet I never told him. I wanted him to believe I had moved on, even if it meant he hated me. The diary was my only friend, the only place where I could admit the truth. I never stopped loving my brother. One day, I found a little stray dog limping on the street. At first, I walked away, telling myself I could barely take care of myself, but the dog followed me, dragging its injured leg, crying softly. I couldn't ignore it. I picked it up, and in that moment, its eyes lit up with pure trust. I named him Hope, because that's what I needed most, even when I pretended I didn't. I spent the last of my money to get him treated. He became my shadow, my only family, the reason I could keep moving forward. At night, when the pain from my illness grew too strong, Hope would press against me, licking my hands as if telling me not to give up. He was just a small dog, but to me, he was the universe reminding me that I wasn't completely alone. But fate can be cruel. Hope's story didn't end with light, it ended with heartbreak. And when he was gone, it felt like the last piece of me went with him. When the diary was made public, the internet erupted. Millions tuned in to read every page. Some people cursed me, saying I was greedy and heartless. Others wept, realizing the truth hidden in my words. Arguments filled the comment sections. But one thing was clear, my story touched people. The pain, the loneliness, the small fragments of hope. It felt too real to be fake. And suddenly, the sister who had disappeared was no longer a villain in everyone's eyes. She was a broken girl, fighting a battle no one knew about. Behind closed doors, my brother was not the stone-hearted man the world believed him to be. After I left, he visited therapists. He drowned himself in work, in alcohol, in anything that could numb the pain. Success became his armor, but inside he was bleeding. He told the world I meant nothing, but every night he thought of me. He wondered if I was alive, if I hated him, if I ever thought of coming home. The diary shattered the mask he had built. For the first time, he had to face the truth he never stopped caring. And when he read the words about my illness, about my love for him, his world fell apart all over again. By the time my brother learned the truth, it was too late. I was already gone. My illness had taken everything from me, and in my final pages, I wrote my last goodbye. I wrote about turning 18 with nothing but a small cake and my dog beside me. I wrote about wanting to see him one last time, even from far away, and I wrote about leaving hope at his doorstep, praying he would take care of the little creature that carried my heart. But fate was cruel again. Hope ran into the street, and in a flash, he was gone too. I buried him near our parents, whispering apologies through endless tears. That night, I chose to follow him. My story ended, but not before I left behind the truth for him to find. When my brother finally accepted the diary was real, he broke down. He realized I hadn't betrayed him. I had been dying, and I carried my pain alone to protect him. The guilt crushed him, but slowly, grief turned into resolve. He promised to live for me. He built a foundation in my name, helping sick children and struggling families. He funded hospitals so no one would have to suffer the way I did. The world praised him, but he never did it for them. He did it for me. In the quiet of his home, he often whispered to the air, "Niam, I'm sorry. I hope you can forgive me." And though I was gone, maybe somewhere, somehow, I was listening. He lived the rest of his life carrying me in his heart. And when he finally left this world, people said they saw a smile on his face, as if he had finally found me again. This is not just a story of loss. It is a story of love, regret, and redemption. A reminder that sometimes we don't realize the weight of our words and choices until it's too late, and that even in death, love can leave behind a legacy strong enough to heal the world.